morning students. In yesterday's class we discussed the concept of meter bridge and potentiometer, and today let us discuss some problems on potentiometer. The first problem is, let me read out the question. The EMF of a battery A is balanced by a length 80 centimeters on a potentiometer wire. The EMF of a standard cell 1 volt is balanced by 50 centimeter. Then the EMF of the cell A is. So, here comparison of two cells this problem is about. So, first cell A, and it is balanced to a length of 80 centimeters, and another cell of potential, that is EMF 1 volt, is balanced to a length of 50 centimeters. So, here the EMF of the first cell we have to find. So, this first cell EMF we have to calculate. So, now let us take the comparison of EMF of two cells using potentiometer. So, let the EMF of the first cell is E divided by second cell EMF is 1 volt, that is equals to L1 by L2, that is 80 divided by 50. So, here can cancel and E is equals to 8 by 5 volts. So, this is the answer for this problem. So, it is a comparison of EMFs between two cells using potentiometer. That is the first problem. So, the formula that I used is E1 by E2 is equals to L1 by L2. So, one cell EMF is given and two balancing lengths is given, and then you can find out the another unknown value of EMF. So, that is it. Next question. The balancing length of a potentiometer wire are 800 centimeters and 600 centimeters. When two cells of EMF E1 and E2 are connected in secondary circuit, first in series and then the terminals of one cell reversed, then find E1 by E2, that is ratio of EMFs of two cells. That is the question. So, first let me tell you the question clearly. So, the balancing lengths of potentiometer wire are 800 and 600 centimeters. So, the first balancing length is when the two cells are connected in series in order. So, that is E1 plus E2 is proportional to L1. Here L1 is given as 800 centimeters. Similarly, when terminals of one cell is reversed and again connected in series in the secondary part of the potentiometer circuit, then EMF we know it is given by E1 minus E2 and its balancing length L2. So, E1 minus E2 proportional to L2, that is proportional to L2 according to the principle of potentiometer. So, here L2 value is also given, that is equal to 600 centimeters. So, using this data we have to find the ratio of EMFs. Okay. So, you know E1 plus E2, now taking this ratio E1 plus E2 divided by E1 minus E2 is equal to L1 by L2. So, now by solving this for E1 and E2 ratio, you can arrive at E1 by E2 is equal to L1 plus L2 divided by L1 minus L2. So, clearly all the values are given. So, L1, L2 values are there. So, you can just substitute and find out the required ratio of EMFs, that is E1 divided by E2 is equal to L1 value 800 plus 600, that is 1400 divided by 800 minus 600 you will get 200. So, that will be 7. So, the ratio of EMFs of the two cells is 7. So, that is the answer for this problem. Now, let us move on to the next question. Next question is, when 6 identical cells of negligible internal resistance are connected in series in the secondary circuit of potentiometer, that is when 6 identical cells of negligible internal resistance are connected in series in the secondary circuit of a potentiometer, the balancing length is L. Balancing length becomes L by 3 when some cells are connected wrongly, then the number of cells connected wrongly are. So, this is the question. So, how to identify the number of cells that are connected wrongly in that second case of the problem, that is here total there are 6 identical cells. We know when n cells are connected in series, n identical cells are connected in series, their equivalent EMF is NE. So here the 6 identical cells are connecting in a series in a potentiometer secondary circuit. So the total EMF will be 6E, and that balancing length corresponding is given, that is L. So 6E proportional to L, that is first condition I can take. Next the condition is given like when some cells are wrongly connected, then the balancing length becomes L by 3. Suppose in the second case, let that EMF, equivalent EMF of that series combination, when some cells are wrongly connected, we do not know how many cells wrongly connected here. So let that EMF E dash, that is proportional to, so like that balancing length is given L by 3. Now just take the ratio and you can find out this E dash value, then you can identify the number of cells wrongly connected in this case. Now let us do it. Now take E dash by E, E dash by this 6E, E dash by 6E is equal to L by 3 divided by L. So L cancel. So E dash is equals to cross multiplying, you will get 6E divided by 3. So 3 ones, 3 twos, that is 2E. So now the effective EMF when some cells are wrongly connected is 2E. So we know if total n cells are there and out of which m are wrongly connected, total number of cells L. Total number of cells n and m are wrongly connected cells. Wrongly connected cells. For this the effective EMF formula we have it. So that is E equivalent is equals to total number of cells minus 2 into number of wrongly connected cells into EMF of one cell. This is the formula for finding the number of wrongly connected cells. So we have this value, that is 2E, that is effective EMF when some cells are wrongly connected is 2E, that is equal to total number of cells we have, that is 6 minus 2m into E. Now solving this for m will get the required value. So E will cancel. Now solving this will get m is equal to 2. So that means 2 cells are wrongly connected in the second case. That is the answer for this problem. Remember, first we are comparing the EMFs. So first case 6 are correctly connected in series, so that is 6E proportional to L. Second time some cells are wrongly connected, so where length is becoming L by 3. So E dash, that unknown value of EMF is E dash, so that E dash proportional to L by 3. Taking the ratio you can find out E dash value, then using the concept of wrongly connected cells, and then you can find out the required number of wrongly connected cells. So that is the solution for this problem. Now let us move on to the next question. The question is, in a potentiometer experiment, the balancing length with a cell is 560 centimeters. When an external resistance of 10 ohm is connected in parallel to the cell, the balancing length changes by 60 centimeters. The internal resistance of the cell in ohms is. This is the question. So it is about finding internal resistance using potentiometer. The given data is, the given data in the problem is, so it is given when cell alone connected in the secondary circuit. That means only when K1 is closed. Yesterday I explained that internal resistance determination. So in that when K1 is closed, the cell balancing length is L1 is equals to 560 centimeters. Now when K2 also closing, the effective balancing length for the resistor and the cell connection is L2 is equals to, it is decreases by 60 centimeters given in the problem when external resistance of 10 ohm. So here capital R is given 10 ohm. So when external resistor is connected to that cell in the secondary circuit, the balancing length is changes by 60. That means generally when external resistor connected to a cell, the effective potential drop will be less than that of the EMF of the cell. So that is why here 560 centimeters. So it is changing by 60 means indirectly he is saying the length is decreasing by 60 centimeters. So the balancing length in the second case is 500 centimeters. Now we have L1, L2 values and R value. So we have the formula for internal resistance calculation, that is small r is equals to capital R into L1 by L2 minus 1. Just substituting the values, you can get the required value of the internal resistance of the cell. So, where R value 10 ohm into L1 value 560 by 500 minus 1. So, just simplifying this. So, 560 minus 500 you will get a 60 divided by 500. So, you can cancel this. So, here 6 by 5 will be the answer. So, 6 by 5 ohms is the internal resistance of the given cell in the potentiometer. So, that is what the solution for this problem. So, this is how you can find out internal resistance. So, here remember decreases by 60 means when resistor is connected to that cell given, the potential drop across the terminals of the cell will be less than that of its EMF. So, here we know potential proportional to L, as potential is decreasing, the balancing length also decreases. So, he is mentioning the changes by 60. Changes by 60 means you have to take it as decreases by 60, that is 560 minus 60 we have to take in this case. So, that is why 500 is balancing length when R is connected to the cell. That is the important point, just remember. Now, let us move on to another question. That is a potentiometer wire of 10 meter length. A potentiometer wire of 10 meter length and 20 ohm resistance is connected in series with a resistance R ohms, capital R ohms, and a battery of EMF 2 volts, negligible internal resistance. Potential gradient of the wire is 0.16 millivolt per centimeters. Then find out R value. So, this is the given data. So, let me write it on the board so you can clearly understand the question. So, the question, the given data is capital L, that is length of the potentiometer wire is 10 meters, and then the total resistance of the potentiometer wire, take some R is equals to some 20 ohms. This is the total resistance of the potentiometer wire. This is 20 ohms, and then and there is a series resistor RS. This value how to find RS value in series with this standard cell, and its internal resistance is negligible. For that cell, EMF value is given, EMF value 2 volts and internal resistance negligible. So, you can take 0, and then you have to find out. So, this potential gradient value is given 0.16 millivolt per centimeter, remember millivolt per centimeter. So, you have to convert this into SI units. Then using all this data, what is the series resistance value? So, that is what the question. So, now let us take the formula for potential gradient. So, we know potential gradient phi is equals to. So, yesterday I discussed this concept, potential gradient. So, that equation for potential gradient is EMF divided by total resistance of the circuit, that is series resistance plus resistance of the potentiometer wire plus internal resistance of the battery in the primary circuit of the potentiometer into resistance per unit length. So, this is the formula you can use directly. So, where R is total resistance and L is total length of the potentiometer wire. Now, let us substitute the values. So, here this small r is 0 because it is negligible internal resistance. Now, substituting the values, it is 5 values given. So, now let us convert this into SI units. 0.16 millivolt per centimeter, that is 0.16 milli means 10 power minus 3, per centimeter means 10 power minus 2 meter. So, it will be 0.016 volt per meter. So, this is the value of potential gradient in SI units. Now, let us solve this for this RS, that is series resistance. So, here this value 0.016 and this EMF value 2 volts divided by RS, which is required value, plus resistance of the wire is 20 and this value 0 into total resistance 20 divided by total length 10. Now, let us calculate the RS value by simplifying this equation. So, you can take 0.016, that is equal to here you can cancel and 2 into 2 4, 4 divided by RS plus 20. Now let us simplify this. So RS plus 20 is equal to this one 4 divided by 0.016. Now multiply and dividing with 1000, you will get 4000 divided by 16. So this will be, so if you solve this for RS plus 20, wait a minute. So solving this for RS, you will get the value as 230 ohms. Just solving this, you will get the series resistance value as 230 ohms. That is the answer for this problem. Now, so just remember here this formula, potential gradient is equal to EMF of the cell in the primary circuit divided by total resistance of the potentiometer circuit into resistance per unit length of the given potentiometer wire. So just use this formula, and remember it is mentioned that the internal resistance is negligible. So if they mention this value, you have to include that in the denominator and you have to solve it. So that is what. So remember here R is negligible, and that is why I am taking this to 0. So that is it. So these are different methods related to the potentiometer concept. I can practice some more problems to get more clarity about potentiometer, because it is very important in NEET point of view. So now let us move on to the next topic. Now let us discuss some more useful concepts for NEET exam. So first concept is, today's first concept is the finding resistance of a cuboid. So let me find out. So cuboid resistance across different phases. Cuboid resistance, how to find when a cuboid is given, the resistance across its phases, how to find. Let us see. So let us say this is a cuboid. Let the dimensions of this cuboid, length, breadth and h, such that L greater than B greater than h I am taking. So length greater than breadth greater than height. So this is a length, and this is breadth, and this is height. Now let us name the faces. So here this face, left side face A, and this is B, and this upper face C, and this downward face D. Then the face which is towards me is E, this face is E, and that back side face is F. Now the question is finding resistance across the different faces of the cuboid, a material which is in the form of a cuboid. So now let the resistivity of the material is rho, resistivity of material of the cuboid is rho. Now we know that resistance R in terms of its material dimensions is R is equals to rho into length by area of cross section. Just keep this in mind. So R is equals to rho L by A. This formula we are going to use. Now let us find out resistance between the faces A and B. So this face A and B. So now finding that resistance across the faces A and B, say RAB, which is equals to, just use the formula rho into length divided by area of cross section. Now if you take these two faces, the distance between those two faces, that is length, is L. So we can say rho into L divided by area of cross section, nothing but area of either face A or face B. So this area, so this is B and this is H. So this cross sectional area will be B into H. Okay, that cross sectional area for the faces A and B, between the finding resistance between A and B, how to take this as cross sectional area. So rho L by A, where A is B into H. So this is resistance across faces A and B. Similarly, you can find the resistance across the faces C and D, which is the top face and the bottom face. So let me take it as RCD, resistance across faces C and D. So here if you take C and D, distance between them is H. So here resistance is equals to rho into length between the two faces H. So rho H by then area of cross section will be equal to the area of either bottom or top face. So where the area will be L into B. So it is rho into H divided by L into B. This is the resistance across the faces C and D, which is the top and the bottom face. Next, similarly you can find out the resistance between the faces E and F, that is the face towards me and the face which is back side. So that faces, so you can take R, E, F, resistance across the faces E and F will be, so where distance between the two faces will be equal to B. So you can say resistance is rho into B divided by area of cross section for those two faces will be L into H, that is this front face area L into H. So it is rho into B by LH. So this is what the way to find out the resistance across different faces of a given cuboid. Remember here I took this condition L greater than B greater than H. So this can be the maximum value of resistance. Sometimes they may ask a question about what is the maximum resistance for the given cuboid. So like that they will ask a question. So in that case remember, so if L greater than B greater than H, then this RAB will be more because R proportional to L. Remember this. So R proportional to L and R inversely proportional to area. So more length, more resistance, more area, less area, more resistance. So if you take this resistance RAB, where the length between the two faces is more, so resistance will be more, and other condition also satisfying because the face the side faces are having minimum cross sectional area. So minimum cross sectional area, more resistance. So in that way this can be the maximum value. So I can write R maximum, that is maximum resistance for the given cuboid is equal to rho into L divided by B into H. Similarly you can take the minimum resistance also. If you see this value rho into H by L into B. So L into B, so this is the, that is the upper and bottom faces. So this value will be the least value, that is minimum value of resistance, because H is less compared to the L and B, that is so here as H is less, resistance will be less, and this area is more, that is why this resistance will be less. So therefore R minimum is equal to rho into H by L into B. So this is what the value of maximum and minimum possible resistance for the given cuboid with this condition. So if they change this condition, the maximum minimum resistance values also change. So according to that given information we have to solve the given problem. So this is the way to find out the cuboid resistance across its different faces. That is it. Now let us move on to the next concept. It is resistance of hollow cylindrical conductor. So the next concept is resistance of hollow cylindrical conductor. Now for finding the resistance of a hollow cylindrical conductor, so let this is the conductor given. Let us say its length is L, and say so this is a hollow cylindrical conductor of inner radius say Ri. This is inner radius of hollow cylindrical conductor is Ri, and outer radius R naught, outer radius R naught. Let rho is resistivity of the material, and let L is length of the cylindrical conductor. Now we know that resistance R is equals to rho L by A, rho into L divided by area. So here area means area which is through which the current can pass. So this is what the area means, effective area we have to consider, because this part of the given material is hollow. So we need not consider this part. So we have to take the effective area which is available for the current flow. So we have to take the effective area as the pi r naught square, that is pi r naught square minus pi r I square, that is pi into r naught square minus r I square. So now use the formula as usually. Therefore, resistance of the given hollow cylindrical conductor is rho into its length L divided by effective area pi into r naught square minus r I square. So this is the formula for calculating the resistance of a hollow cylindrical wire with the inner radius Ri, outer radius R naught. So that you will get this effective area. So that is what the concept of hollow cylindrical conductor and finding its resistance. Now let us discuss the next topic, this third concept today. So concept of recasting a wire and finding its new resistance. Recasting a wire, finding a new resistance. Finding new resistance. So here generally questions will be asking like when a wire is stretched to 3 times to its initial length, what will be the new resistance of the wire? So this kind of questions, when wire is stretched to 1/3 of its radius of cross section, then what will be its new resistance? So this kind of question. So recasting the wire, stretching the wire, simply saying when a wire is stretching to some n times to its initial length, what will be the resistance, new resistance of that wire after stretching. So this concept which is important in NEET point of view. Now let me explain that concept. Now let us consider a material of resistivity rho, material of resistivity rho and density d, density of the material d. Now if L is the length of the given wire, then initial length of the given wire, R, resistance of the material, is given by rho into L divided by A. So rho into L divided by A. Now just modify these things by multiplying and dividing with L. You can get rho into L square divided by A into L. So A into L nothing but volume of the given wire. So area of cross section into length of the wire nothing but its volume. So volume is equal to mass by density, because density is equals to mass by volume. I can use volume is equals to mass by density. Remember here m is mass of the wire. M is mass of wire. Okay, now substituting that volume in this case, so we will get a rho into L square divided by m by d, is nothing but we get rho into d L square by m. So rho d by m into L square. Now if you observe this equation, it is very clear that when wire is stretching, so the density of the material remains constant, which is the physical property of the material, and rho, resistivity of the material, which remains same at a given temperature, and mass of the wire, which remains same before stretching and after stretching. So I can say this term in the brackets remains constant before and after stretching. Therefore I can say R proportional to L square. So this is the expression. Now if they ask a question about finding the new resistance when wire is stretched to n times, for example, let the wire is, so initial length of the wire is L and the new length of the wire is n times its initial length, then what is the new resistance? So let's, new resistance is R dash, initial resistance is R. Now taking the ratio R dash to R, you will get R dash divided by R is equals to new length square divided by initial length square, that is a new length square nothing but n square L square divided by initial length square L. So L square will cancel, therefore new resistance is equals to n square times the initial resistance of the wire. So this is the concept. So if they give 3 times initial length, you can directly substitute 3 here, 3 square r. If they give 2 times initial length, so 2 square r, like that you can take this formula directly when they mention wire is stretching to some n times to its initial length. So, that is what the concept of finding new resistance when wire is stretching. So, remember here density, mass and the resistivity of the material remains constant before and after stretching. So, this particular proportionality constant, this value will be remain same. So, I can take R proportional to L square, or I can take R1 by R2 is equal to L1 square by L2 square. This is the formula. Now, let us see what if they give the modified area of cross section of the wire. That means if area reduces to 1/2 of its initial area of cross section, or radius decreases to 1/2 of its initial radius of cross section. So, if they give change, that means new area of cross section or new radius of cross section of the wire, how to find the resistance value? Now, take the same equation, same material of mass m and resistivity rho and density d, and resistance is equals to rho into L by A. Now, just multiply and divide with area in this case. So, you will get volume in the numerator. So, rho into volume of the wire divided by area square, where volume is equals to again mass by density. Using the same equation for volume, you can substitute here. So, rho into m divided by d into A square. So, again same concept. So, when wire is stretching such that its area of cross section is decreasing, the values resistivity, mass and density remain same. So, I can say R proportional to 1 by area of cross section square, R proportional to A square, or I can say new resistance by initial resistance R2 by R1 is equal to A1 by A2 whole square. So, this is the equation. So, if they mention the radius in the problem, you can also take another formula. We know that area of cross section is pi r square. So, you can take pi r1 square divided by pi r2 square whole square. So, here pi will cancel, you will get r1 by r2 whole power 4. Okay. So, that is what. So, here r1 is initial radius of cross section and r2 is a new radius of cross section. If they mention R2 in terms of R1, substituting R2 value, you can simplify this and you can find out what will be the value of a new resistance in terms of the initial resistance of the wire. That is what the concept of finding resistance. Okay, that is it. Now, now let us discuss some more concepts which are useful for solving problems. Now, let us see how to find the effective resistance of infinite ladder circuit. So, this is the ladder circuit. This is the circuit given. So, you have to find the resistance across the points A and B. This is the question, and each resistance are identical. So, all are equal to R ohms. Now, while doing this kind of infinite ladder circuits, so first we have to identify the pattern which is repeating in the circuit. So, if you observe carefully, these resistors R. So, every time they are repeating. So, now identify one such repeating element. Now, take the first element, and now we know if I remove one element in this circuit, remaining part of the circuit is once again an infinite ladder circuit. So, I can say simply, so 1 plus infinity, which is once again infinity. This is what you can take, this is the logic. So, one element plus remaining part also an infinite circuit, and its value once again will be equal to infinity. So, now let me take, so first element and the remaining part of the circuit, that is remaining infinite part of the circuit, I am taking it as some x, and that value is once again x, because 1 plus infinity is equal to infinity. So, 1 plus infinite ladder circuit is once again equal to another infinite ladder circuit. So, by adding or removing one element, its value does not change much. That is the logic behind this kind of problems. Now, let us simplify it. So, we have R and this value is x, and that is equivalent to x. Now, we have to solve it for x, then that will be the effective resistance between A and B. So, that is the method. Now, let us solve it. So, if you observe this circuit, these two are in parallel combination, these two resistors R and X. Now, their effective value is R into X by R plus X. Now, let us redraw the circuit. So, first resistor R and this resistor value, that is R and this value R x by R plus X, that is equal to a resistance of x ohm. Now, you can simplify this because they are in series combination. Take effective resistance of these two as R plus R x by R plus X, because they are in series, that is equal to x. Now, you just simplify and you will get a quadratic equation, and then finding the roots of that equation you will get the final answer. Now, simplifying this, so take LCM. So, R into R plus X plus R x is equal to divide by R plus X, R plus X is equal to X. Let me write here. So, now cross multiplying you will get R into R plus X plus R x is equal to R into X into R plus X, X into R plus X. Now, simplify this. So, you will get R into R square plus R x plus R x, that is equals to R into X R x plus X square. So, here R x will cancel, then you will get X square minus R x minus R square. So, this is the quadratic equation in X. Now, let us find out the roots of this equation. That means, X value, X is equals to, you can use that quadratic equation roots, minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. So, now here b value is minus r. So, minus of minus plus you will get r plus r minus square root of b square, nothing but minus r square minus 4ac minus 4 a value 1, a value minus r square. So, minus of minus plus 4 r square divided by 2 into a value 1. So, this is the these are the roots. Now, let us simplify it and find the x value, relevant x value. Now, simplifying it further, x is equal to r plus r minus, so here r square plus 4 r square will be 5 r square divided by 2. So, then simplifying this, suppose if I take 5 root r square, nothing but r, then take r common. So, r into 1 plus r minus root 5 divided by 2. So, this is the final value. Now, here if you take the first root, that is r into 1 plus root 5, that will be a positive value, whereas if you take the other one, that is 1 minus root 5 will be a negative value. So, resistance of the circuit cannot be negative. Now, x can be equal to, don't take 1 minus root 5 because it will give you negative value. So, it is not correct because resistance cannot be negative for the conductors. Now, r into 1 plus root 5 divided by 2. So, this is the value of resistance of infinite ladder network. Suppose if they give resistance value in the circuit, suppose if each resistor value is 2 ohm, then you can write 2 into 1 plus root 5 divided by 2, where 2 will cancel, you will get 1 plus root 5 ohm. So, that is the value of effective resistance between the points A and B, that is nothing but x value. Remember here x value nothing but the total effective value of infinite ladder network, that is what our assumption our assumption here. So, here first one element plus infinity circuit is equals to again an infinity circuit. So, that infinity circuit effective value we are assuming it as x, and we solved it for x. So, that is what our required answer. So, similarly you can solve any infinite ladder network by the same process. Okay. So, try to solve some examples based on this ladder network, some other questions. So, you will get it clearly. Now, let us discuss one more topic, that is a short circuit in case of resistors combinations. Short circuit. Short circuit means if in a circuit, so that means if 2 points in a circuit are connected by a wire, then the 2 points are said to be short circuited. For example, let us consider 3 resistors which are in series like this. Let their values are this value 10 ohm, this value some 30 ohm and this value some 50 ohm. So, all are connected in series. Now, the effective resistance between the points A and B is directly you can take 50 plus 30 plus 10, that is 90 ohm. So, but if these 2 points, let us say this point is C, this point is D, if these 2 points are between these 2 points, if a wire is connected like this, if a wire is connected like this, this connection we can call it as short circuit. Short circuit connection. So, where that resistance of 50 ohm is not effective in the circuit, because when you connect a battery between A and B, if you made a battery connection, the current will be flowing through the 10 ohm resistor and 30 ohm resistor, but when it reaches the point C, it will choose this path because the resistance of the connecting wires negligibly very small. So, this the current will choose this path, so that this resistor will not have any current, that is what we can call short circuit. So, now this circuit effective resistance is the resistance of this one plus this one, that means 10 plus 30, which is 40 ohms only, because the other resistor is short circuited. So, this is the concept of short circuit. Similarly, in case of parallel combination, suppose if there are 3 resistors which are connected like this. This is the circuit. This is the circuit of parallel combination of 3 resistors. Now, if you try to find out the effective resistance between A and B, let the resistance is 10 ohm and this one is also 10 ohm and this one is also 10 ohm, for example. Now, if the ends of this resistor are connected like this by a wire, then this resistor is said to be short circuited. Now, let me explain it in more detail. Now, let us connect a battery between A and B, then current will start flowing in this direction and here it will split into 2 values. Again, again the current will split into actually 3 equal values if there is a, suppose if there is no short circuit, the current will split equally through all the resistors because they are equal resistance values. So, but if this resistance is given short circuit, that means if a wire connection is made like this, this resistor is not working in the circuit, because when current reaches this point, it will choose this path instead of this 10 ohm resistor, which is not working in the circuit. So, this is nothing but short circuit in case of parallel combination. Okay, so we can now take the effective resistance as 10 and 10 ohm as a parallel combination of 2 resistors. So, 10 by 2 will get 5 ohm. If the other resistor, if this short circuit is not there, the effective resistance will be 10 by 3 ohm. If this short circuit is made, then this resistor is not effectively working, because the connecting wires resistance is always negligibly very small compared to the given values. So, that this resistor will not have any current. So, these 2 only having current flow in the circuit. That is what the concept of short circuit in case of series and parallel combinations of resistors. Just keep this in mind, a very important topic while solving the problems based on combinations of resistors. Now, let us discuss the next topic, that is finding resistance across the body diagonal of a cube having each side having identical resistance. Okay. So, let us draw the circuit. Next concept is finding resistance across the body diagonal of a cube having 12 identical resistors which represent each side of the given cube. So, let us draw the circuit. This is the cube. Remember, each side of the cube represents a resistance and the value of resistance is the same for each side. That means let the resistance of each side is R. So, I am not representing the resistance circuit symbol here, just I am taking it directly here. Resistance of each side means each side of the cube is equivalent to one resistor of resistance R ohm. Now, our intention is to find the resistance across the body diagonal. So, let me take this point A and this point B. So, this is what the body diagonal. Now, if I connect a battery between the points A and B like this, current will enter at point A and leave at point B. So, that is now let us calculate the effective value of resistance between the points A and B, where current entering at A and leaving at point B like this. Now, let us take there is a current of I ampere from the battery drawn from the battery. I amperes current is drawn from the battery. Then at this junction, see, all are identical. Here this R ohm, R ohm, R ohm. So, the current will be dividing equally through all the resistors. So, this current will be I by 3 amperes, this current will be I by 3 amperes, and this current also I by 3 amperes. Now, take any one current, just follow any one current. Now, let us follow this current. So, this current will come to this point. So, at this junction again it will divide into two equal values, because there are two identical paths for the current. So, this resistance R and also this resistance R. So, now this I by 3 will split into two equal currents. So, that it will be I by 6 through this resistor and I by 6 through this resistor. Now, again just follow this path. Now, at this point, now if you see clearly, this I by 3, this I by 3 is reaching this junction. Again there are two identical paths, I by 6 and then I by 6. Now, if you observe this current, this current I by 3, again it is splitting into I by 6 and then I by 6. Okay. Now, this I by 6 and this I by 6 both are meeting at this junction, and the total current becomes I by 3. So, this is what the current. Similarly, this current I by 6 becomes I by 3, and this current I by 6, see, this current I by 6 and I by 6 will meet here and it becomes I by 3, and then if I add I by 3 and I by 3 again, it will give you total current. So, that is how the current is splitting in the cube. Now, take any one path of the current to find out the effective resistance between points A and B. Now, let me choose one current path, that is from here. So, let me give the names. So, A, this is point C and this is D. So, now take the path A, C, D, B. So, this path I am choosing. This path which I highlighted here. So, this path. Okay. So, this potential at point A, say VA. Now, let us use Kirchhoff's voltage law. So, VA, potential at point A, VA. Next, potential drop between the points A and C, because current is moving in the upward direction, we are taking in the direction of current. So, we have to take it as minus I by 3 current into resistance R VA, and this potential drop is minus of I by 3 into R, because we are taking in the direction of current. So, it should be taken as negative value. Now, from C to D, again current I by 6 is moving from C to D, again in the direction of current. So, you can take minus current I by 6 into resistance of that part is R once again. So, minus I by 6 into R. Similarly, D to B. So, D to B again we are moving in the direction of current I by 3. So, it will be minus I by 3 into R. At the point B, potential minus VB, that must be equal to 0. Okay. Now, taking VA minus VB, that is potential difference between the points A and B across which we are finding the effective resistance, that VA minus VB, taking these negative terms to RHS, will get I by 3 R plus I by 6 R plus I by 3 R. Now, taking I by 3 common and simplifying, I by 3 into R is equal into 1 plus 1 plus 1 by 2. Now, simplifying this will get I by 3 into R into there is LCM 2 into 2. So, 1 plus 1 2, 2 into 2 4, 4 plus 1 5. So, 5 by 2. So, that will be 5 by 6 R into I. So now if you observe this equation, VA minus VB is equal to the current I into 5 by 6 R. So this is now let us use Ohm's law. Potential difference VA minus VB is equal to current into resistance between points A and B. So V is equal to IR, that is here VA minus VB nothing but potential drop across the points A and B, that must be equal to current into resistance between points A and B. So this I can take directly as the resistance between the points A and B, which are the body diagonal corners. Here this point and this point represent the corners, that is body diagonal of the given cube. Therefore, resistance across the points A and B is 5 by 6 times one resistance value. This is the answer for this problem. Similarly, you can find the resistance across the adjacent corners of a cube. That means these corners, there is, let me write that values. Now let me tell you those two formulas directly. Resistance across any two adjacent corners of a cube. So like this, if I take this cube having all identical resistance, so this is the meaning of adjacent corners. If you take any two adjacent corners, either these two or these two or these two or these two, any two adjacent corners, if you take, the resistance across those two adjacent corners will be 7 by 12 R. So remember this, 7 by 12 R. Similarly, if you take a resistance across face diagonal, resistance across face diagonal of a cube, face diagonal of the given cube having 12 identical resistors which represent each side of the cube, then this is the face diagonal. So this, if I take any face diagonal, this corner and this front corner, then the resistance across this face diagonal of a cube R equivalent is equals to 3 by 4 R, 3 by 4 R. So three different cases. First one across the body diagonal of the given cube, and across any two adjacent corners 7 by 12 R, and across any face diagonal it will be 3 by 4 R. So that is the concept of cube of 12 identical resistors. Okay. Now let us discuss one more problem which is based on the Wheatstone bridge network. So find the effective resistance between points A and B is the question. So this is the given circuit. This is the given circuit, all are identical resistors. So the value of each resistor is R. Now what is the effective resistance between points A and B? So there is a question. Okay, this is it. So now while solving this kind of questions, first we have to simplify the corners. If we see, if we connect a battery between the points A and B, current will split at this junction, so into two values, so and it will pass through these two resistors and this one. So we have to simplify the corners of the given circuit first. Now, if you simplify any one corner, so there between these 2 points, these two are connected in series. So, the series combination value 2R and another resistor is parallel to R. So, 2R parallel to R in each corner. So, the effective resistance of each corner of the given circuit is, let me take it as R dash. So, the parallel combination of 2R and R. So, it will be 2R into R divided by 2R plus R. So, here it will be simplified to 2R divided by 3 will get. So, this is resistance of each corner. Now, let us redraw the circuit by replacing each corner with a resistance of 2R by 3. So, that is this is 2R by 3 and this corner is once again 2R by 3 and this is 2R by 3 and this is once again 2R by 3, there a middle resistor of R. So, this is 2R by 3, 2R by 3, 2R by 3 and then 2R by 3. So, all are same resistors. Now, if you see this circuit, it is a balanced Wheatstone bridge network. So, P divided by Q is equal to 1, 2R by 3 by 2R by 3 1 and this ratio is also 1. So, this ratio is equal, that means P by Q is equal to R by S condition is satisfied. So, hence you can say the bridge is balanced. So, this resistor is negligible. This resistor is negligible. That means we cannot, there cannot be any current flow between this and this point. So, this resistor is ineffective in the circuit. Now, you can remove and you can simplify the remaining circuit and the combinations. Now, let me take each value as X. So, all are identical values. So, I can take X. So, these two values X and X are in series. So, the value will be 2X, the upper portion value 2X and again these two values X and X are in series. It is also in series. So, here 2X parallel to 2X, that means two identical resistors parallel to each other. So, there are equivalent, that is effective resistance between points A and B is 2X divided by 2, 2X divided by 2 because they are identical resistors and they are connected. See, this value is 2X and this lower value is 2X, they are parallel to each other. So, 2X by 2 will get X. Therefore, the resistance between points A and B is equal to X, which I took X value as 2R by 3. Therefore, R effective is 2R by 3. That is the answer for this problem. So, let us discuss the one more problem based on Kirchhoff's laws. This is once again an important method. So, this is the circuit is given like this. So, this is the circuit. This is the circuit and this potential, this value of resistance some 2 ohm and this potential at this point is 20 volts and this resistance value some 4 ohm and this value of potential 5 volts and this resistance 2 ohm and this is the switch. Now, the question is when switch S is closed, when switch S is closed, what is the current through, what is current flowing through 2 ohm resistor, means this resistor, 2 ohm resistor. So, that is the question. So, when switch S is closed in this circuit, what is the current flowing in this part of the circuit? So, that is what the question. So, here this can be solved by taking, let me take this potential as some V, which is a unknown value here. So, this method is called a node analysis method. So, let me take this node potential as V, okay, which is not given in the problem. So, first we have to find out this node potential and then we can apply Ohm's law directly for this resistor and I can find out the required current value. Now, let me take this from this end because 20 volts potential, like total current is some I1, okay. So, total current I1 and at this point current will split into two values. So, that is I3, otherwise take this as I and this one I1 and this current is I2. So, at this junction I must be equal to I1 plus I2 according to junction law, that is total, that is sum of currents entering the junction must be equal to sum of currents leaving the junction. So, I can take I is equal to I1 plus I2. So, let me assume this value of potential at this point as V. Now, apply Ohm's law for each resistor. Remember Ohm's law nothing but the potential difference is equal to current into resistance. So, here current value we have, that is I value we know. So, I is equals to potential difference divided by the resistance between these 2 points. So, from here to here current is I. So, where potential difference is nothing but so 20 minus V divided by resistance. Resistance between these 2 points is 2 ohm. 20 minus V divided by 2 ohm is the current from here to here, and here there are 2 currents, now that is I1 and I2. So, when I close the switch, that is remember, now from these 2 points potential difference. So, here I1 value first, I1 value nothing but potential difference between the ends of this resistor, that is V minus this ground potential 0. So, V minus 0, I1 value is V minus 0 divided by resistance 2. Similarly, for this particular resistor, V minus 5 divided by resistance 4. So, V minus plus V minus 5 divided by 4. Now, solving this equation for V, you will get V value, and then using Ohm's law for only this resistor, you will get the value of I1. That is the method, which is a node analysis method. Now, let me solve that equation for V. Now, 20 minus V divided by 2 is equal to V by 2 plus V minus 5 divided by 4. Now, multiply the equation with 4, total equation with 4. So, here multiplying with 4 will get, so let me multiply with 4 here, and again 4, and again here 4. Now, 4 cancel here, and 2 ones 2 2, so 2 into 20 40 minus 2V is equal to 2 ones 2 2, so 2V, and here V minus 5. So, now take V values one side. Now, this minus 5 becomes plus 5, 45 is equal to minus 2V plus 2V, minus 2V becomes plus 2V, 2V plus 2V 4V, 4V plus V 5V. Therefore, V is equal to 45 by 5, that is equal to 9 volts. So, now the node potential, that is assumed potential at this point is 9 volts. 9 volts. Now, taking Ohm's law only for this particular resistor, because when switch SC is closed, what is the current in this? That means I1 value we have to find. Now, I1 is equal to potential difference between these 2 points 9 minus 0, 9 minus 0 divided by resistance 2. So, 9 by 2, that is equal to 4.5 amperes. That is the answer for this problem. So, that is this method is called node analysis method. Remember, we are just applying the Kirchhoff's laws and Ohm's law. Okay. So, here we are assuming this node potential as V volts, and which is to be determined using junction law and Ohm's law. So, first we are applying junction rule. So, total current I assumed it as I is equals to I1 plus I2, and using Ohm's law for each current. So, this current can be potential difference divided by resistance, and this current potential difference between these 2 points divided by the resistance between those 2 points, and here potential difference V minus 5 divided by resistance between those 2 points, that will give you currents, and just by substituting in junction rule you can solve it for unknown potential, that is 9 volts in this particular problem, and then using Ohm's law for that resistor across which they are asking current, you can find out the required value of current. So, similarly you can find any current in the circuit using the same process. Okay, that is it. So, that is all for today's class. Thank you.